setting up for a PGA Tour event? What's involved from an organizational and a sponsor standpoint? What is it that you look at when you're looking at a golf course, and the difference maybe I should actually go as far as to say the difference between classic and modern courses when you look at an old course versus a new one?
Well, you know, let me start off by, you know, when the decision became, and obviously I was just a kid riding a bike at that time to play at Glen Abbey, you know, and you look back now then, and you can argue it whether it's right or wrong. I still say it was the right idea to come here. The course was built for a spectator standpoint, and in a world where sports was growing, they were trying to get more bodies. In any sport, whether it was, you know, football stadiums, one time may have had 34,000, and how do I get to 72? We were an organization that had to find a home, had to find a permanent home, and the way to grow that was to build a golf course. So obviously it's new at that time. It hosted a tournament. It was not just staged for those inside the ropes, it was staged for people outside the ropes. And you look at going back then, I got to believe back in those days, pro-ams and corporate tents and skyboxes and stuff probably weren't even thought of. It was, we were still selling dailies and any days and clubhouse packages was probably the extent of it. So, you know, when you know, so the choice to go there, obviously Glen Abbey had some space. I'm sure that was thought about. When you look at areas between what is 1 and 4 to build corporate villages, that started. There was obviously plenty of room to have parking here, but you know, as you move along and you grow, the business grows. You can look that you can't go backwards, and you can't go to some old golf courses. Obviously, there are many that are wonderful inside the ropes. There are very few that make sense outside of the ropes. And you know, one of the few that I remember going to first was Royal Montreal, that had some opens previous to 1997. You know, it was a major move for us to go there, but that's a golf course that had 45 holes, so it had space. It had space to do infrastructure. I mean, the world of television changed a lot from one production team to go to, back in the day there were 4 production teams, from the Americans to CBS, or from the Americans to the French to the Canadians to a Thursday one. So, you know, compounds had to get bigger, cables. I mean, a lot has changed, but you still challenge yourselves when you go to some of the old traditional golf courses, and you have to think outside the box. And then when the next move was, I guess, to Hamilton, and you know, there just weren't a lot of supporters to go there. I truly believed in my own mind that you could do it if certain things happen, and it ended up being a great golf course for it. And you know, Shaughnessy, we did the same thing, and we're going to go to one in 2010. That'll be, I'll guarantee at the end of that year I may have no hair. But we'll play it, and somehow it'll go off. And but I'll tell you, you know, you say this, and you can always come back to it. That, and I don't say it because I've been here or anybody else, but this is truly a wonderful venue in Glen Abbey. You know, I was out with the PGA Tour guys getting ready for last year, and you know, unfortunately, you have a bridge and you have a housing development, some of the encroachment around, but when you look at the golf course, I mean, it really has matured. And you look at some of those comments that players said back in '77 and '79 and whatever. I mean, somebody told me once it'll be a classic Nicklaus design in 30 years, and that person was right.
So true. Scott, you were talking about covering a lot of opens here. You see the difference in how things have changed in terms of the infrastructure of the media?
Yes, it has. It used to be, I remember the media used to be down in the clubhouse, which was fantastic. I'm glad we're not there now. But it used to be great, because what would happen is they'd have a little, the interview area was down there, and we'd often do a show right outside the interview area. So the players would be walking out, and you know, they come in to do an interview, and then Fred Cousins would walk out, and he'd say, hey, sit down at the table, and it was intimate. Like you had contact with the players, but it's not like that now. It's changed, obviously, because they put the tent just out here, right? Mm-hmm. And so that could cause a little bit of problem for the media, and I know poor Bill and Karen have to deal with they're not all as nice as I am. They get a little cranky and write a few things sometimes, but one of the things, I think Bill goes on, One of the things that I think has been good is that when we're down in the tent now, because of technology and electronics, when the players stop up at the clubhouse to do the interviews, everything's piped in down at the tent. And you got the TVs, you can see everything, you can hear everything. And actually, it's really darn convenient because from a media point of view, covering an Open is a lot of times you're sitting in a tent. It's kind of odd, you go to cover a golf tournament, you spend most of the day inside a tent because you're watching it on TV and you're watching the flow and you're looking at the numbers. And they do bring the players down, on Thursdays and Fridays when they're split. Somebody has a great round, they'll bring them into the media tent. But I think overall, the first year you did it, I think there was a lot of, maybe not backlash, but a lot of grumbling from the media. But I think now it's become, everybody's used to it, and it's convenient and it works.
And it's right beside the Canadian Golf Hall of Fame.
Exactly. So when you have those few moments to spend, you can go and check it out. That's basically it.
Dean, do you want to talk about setting up for the Open?
Along the same lines, and I look at it from Bill's perspective. This was an easy golf course to set up. We had lots of space. I just, to be blunt, I look at St. George's. I looked at Hamilton, and the amount of space that you have there, everything is confined. Now, from a superintendent's perspective, all we really kind of concentrate on is obviously 18 holes. But then you also get involved with everything outside the ropes and everything that's coming in a month before and has to leave a month later. Logistically, I look at St. George's, and there's two ways to look at it. I think there's a lot of people that are going to love playing that golf course from a player's perspective, but I think logistically it's going to be a nightmare to set the place up. And I mean, the things that, and again, don't you, I think it's going to be a nightmare to set the place up. But
I've heard you, okay?
let me tell you again, and not to say, but that's the beauty of, the sad thing now is you can't say it's impossible anymore. You cannot put bleachers in a pond. You cannot put a bleacher over it. Well, yeah, we can. Angus Glen, they did. You cannot put bleachers over Islington Avenue. You never make that bet with anybody because somebody's going to put bleachers over Islington Avenue, and there's going to be a lot of people at St. George's. And, I think the players are going to love it just like they loved Hamilton Golf Club. But, from my perspective, and again, I've always enjoyed being behind the scenes. I've always been a behind the scenes person. And I've always looked at it from, the week of the tournament is the easiest thing I can do. It's the month out and the month after where you're setting these things up. And luckily enough, in my own little beautiful world of North Halton, way out in the country, I look at these things now and I just, I'm going to go to St. George's and I'm going to enjoy that golf course. But the other thing that I look at is, oh my God, how long it will take to set this place up and how long it takes to tear it down, and I just pray it doesn't rain in between, right? You don't want rain for about 3 months, is that correct? Somewhere around there. So, that's kind of the way I look at it.